Okay, so now we're going to do a little more drilling into just exactly how each one of these things got accomplished. So here we are again at the top of our while loop, the grand loop, okay? And we're going to go look at get CSV email. And we pass into it the sysimport settings, CVS row, and the row number. And this is actually an array. This is actually the actual array of all the rows, and then we tell it which specific one we want it to process. So now let's buzz down to, and remember this is the end of the while loop, okay? So now we're done. Now we're just going to do subroutines. So here's get CSV array. Is that the one I promised we'd get? Hang on a minute. Get CSV email is the first one we do. Sorry about that. And let me buzz down to get CSV email. Here it is. Okay. And again, you see that we have a string array that we're passing in, and we also have the row number itself. Okay. So basically, individual entry is where we take the CSV row, which is all the rows. We supply it with the specific row that we're talking about. We use the split function on that row to chop it up into pieces. Okay, so now individual entry is now, if there's, let's say, 15 different columns of data, 15 different pieces of data separated by commas, we now have that into an array just for that line. So we go look at entry number 4 is the CSV email. And then there's another email that comes in, which is, basically their old email, and that's always entry number 3. So we put that to these variables. Now we have to deal with the LMS ID problem, because sometimes we have empty LMS IDs. So I say if it's blank, then make an update to the breadcrumbs, right? This is the one where we're always echoing back to the user, and then get out. Okay. Now remember also that the CSV that comes in is sometimes has error in it, has spaces in it, sometimes as many as 20 or 30 spaces. So I get rid of the error. And that's what the remove is. It just gets rid of any spaces and clamps it down so it's just the number. Let's see. Also, once I've gotten rid of the people who don't have any at all, don't have any LMS ID at all, then I go and check the LMS ID and say, well, if it's not empty, it should be about they're 6-digit numbers, and they start about 200,000. So I say, if it's lower than 100,000 and it's not blank, then we got a problem, because there's always a possibility that we have corrupted CSV data coming in. So I always like to do a little quick sample and make sure that the LMS ID, if it's not blank, which happens rarely, but it can happen. But if it's some bizarre, if it's a name, or if it's an email, or if it's an address, or if the data is corrupted, this is one way that I'll catch it, by checking the value of the LMS ID. Also, I go to the email and I say, does it contain an @ And we know all emails have to have an @ if it survives those two kind of quick and dirty tests, where an email has an @ in it and the LMS ID is more than 100,000, it's probably okay. We don't have that many data corruption problems that we're really stressing about checking every last field. Although there is a possibility that this routine might get enhanced. If we find we have subtle data problems that are really crashing the system, I may do much more data checking.